We've reached the All-Star break. Where are the Twins at? Full update on that. Plus, there's conference movement happening as college media days roll on. Hot Mic on a Monday starts now.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something. Izzo.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Monday morning. Welcome to the deadest week of the sports calendar edition of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra. KSFL TV, good morning, everybody in Sioux Falls, KNBN in Rapid City, and Inforum.com. New week, ready to rock and roll, 14th day of July. A tradition continues that I started about 16 years ago that for some reason I have always worked this week. This is the deadest week of the sports calendar, and it's different now than it was 15 years ago when we had just the baseball all-star game, and then it was just the oasis out there of nothing. Just you could just see there was nothing out there until the end of the week. They've popped in a few other events now, but traditionally, I have always worked this week. Now I take it as a challenge to say, okay, we're going to make this week really interesting. We're going to make some, either when I was still anchoring the news, we're going to do good stories here. We're going to make interesting stories, or especially when we do this show, we're going to make it with interesting guests and to make sure that people are plugged in the middle of the summer. Because after this week, once we get to Friday and the resumption of the baseball season, we got a bunch more NFL teams than reporting to camp. We actually have some college football teams reporting to camp at the end of the week. Then it's on. Then, you know, the runway is there for us to take off for the fall. You got to get through this week. That was always the challenge on that. But I feel like we've done a good enough job to get you ready for that. And with that, we welcome to the show. It's a big day today. I'm getting updates currently over at Horizon Middle School in Moorhead. The Jackman is doing a soccer camp this week, bright and early, 8 a.m., which is good today considering it's going to be 90, 8 a.m. to 9:30. And my wife was just sending me a few photos of them out there. It's a mix of some that have done soccer for a bit, others that have never done it before. Jackman is right in the middle of that. He was very excited this morning. It's a busy day today. He's got that. He got T-ball later. It's a busy day there. So there's no lull in the sports calendar for the Jackman at all. Lots of other stuff happening over the weekend. I'll give you the quick Superman review. I told everybody on Friday I was going to see it. Went on Friday afternoon. Perfect time to go. About 1 o'clock over at Century Theater, which is the best because they have all of the luxury seats there. Movie is about the perfect length, just over 2 hours, not counting the credits. Moves well. The lead actor, David Cordswet, who plays Clark Kent Superman, really good. About the best actor we've had for that since Christopher Reeve. Rachel Brosnahan plays Lois Lane. For those that watch The Fabulous Miss Maisel on Amazon, it's a very popular show that has been around for the last few years. She's fantastic. She's really, really good. Nicholas Hoult plays Lex Luthor. He's in a few movies that you may know. He's the Beast in the X-Men movies, most notably. He's in a few other popular movies as well. Really, really good. It's good. Let's just say that. I did the unofficial Izzo Superman rankings after I saw it, which, granted, I don't know if we've needed 5 separate Supermen to do this, but DC wanted to start its own universe again since Marvel is puttering right now is probably the best way to say it until a couple weeks from now when the Fantastic Four comes out. We'll give our full review on that because beyond excited for that. But it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I'll just share with that. No spoilers here. I'm not going to do that to anybody who wants to go see it, but it's pretty good. I'll leave it with that. We got a lot to get to today. We're going to run the gamut here with a few different things we'll get into. We'll salute our best of the weekend, which is some good stuff. Apparently, everybody and their brother was at Target Field this weekend, either Friday night for the Skeens, Joe Ryan, Nelly concert, or Saturday, as it turned out, for Byron Buxton's cycle and home bobblehead day. Everybody on my social media feed was either at the Twins game on Friday or Saturday. Nobody went Sunday, which is where we start, because when you see some shots of the crowd at Target Field from yesterday, which makes no sense to me in terms of if you want to go to a ball game, want to be outside, ain't nobody there. Which, for the ball club, they're playing better. It's not like they've stunk up the joint. Tommy Pham got things. Why can't the Mets find players like him? Starts things off with a solo home run. Gets the Pirates, who are trying to avoid being swept, out to a 1-zip lead. Yes, there is a Pirates fan in attendance. At least they went to the game. Byron Buxton would answer, and boy, what a weekend he had after. Remember, he got hit on the hand Wednesday night. Yeah, he's okay. Laces a double to left. That ties the game up at 1 through 3 innings of play. We stay tied to the 9th. Bases loaded for the Pirates. A shot to Brooks Lee at second. He can't get the ball out of his glove. That's going to allow the go-ahead run to score for the Pirates to make it a 2-1 Pittsburgh lead. The Twins would get the tying run on base in the bottom half of the 9th inning. Ty France, who gets a rare at bat, he's really struggling, grounds out to end it. Pirates avoid the sweep as they pick up a 2-1 win. Twins had a chance to sweep all 3 opponents on this homestand. The Rays last weekend, the Cubs early last week, and then the Pirates, and cannot do any of them. They go 6-3 on the homestand. Simeon Woods Richardson goes 4 2/3. Duran takes the loss in a non-save situation. He came in, obviously, with the game tied. Allows 3 hits and a run as the Pirates pick up the win, 2-1. So Minnesota goes into the All-Star break with a mark of 47 and 49. 2 games under 500. We've detailed last week the challenges that are now are there in the Central race, as we've declared is dead. Doesn't care how many games we have left. The Tigers are going to win the AL Central. The wild card is what the Twins have to be focused on, and the amount of teams that they're going to have to jump, which is right now standing at 5 to get into that last wild card spot. Between now and July 31st, that's what has to be decided about this baseball team. And we asked Corey Provis about this on the show Friday, about what they could potentially do if they're going to hang into it. He doesn't see any massive moves coming, but could there be? There was reports yesterday that the Red Sox are interested in Duran and Griffin Jacks. If you're going to do that, obviously means you're punting on 2025, which I'm fine with. I don't think they're going anywhere. You best get a haul back. If you're going to trade away your closer and top setup guy, that's when you got to get some big-time returns coming back. We'll see. But that's where they stand on the field. Off the field was the opening day of the Major League Baseball draft. Now, this is the one draft that we have, I think, for people that are just casual, average sports fans that probably pay the least attention to it, because these are the guys we're not going to see for 3 to 4 years. At minimum 2. Right? Maximum, it could be 4 to 5 before we see some of these guys. The Twins had 3 picks yesterday. They took 2 shortstops and a pitcher. Their first pick was Mark Houston, who plays at Wake Forest. 6'3", 205 pounds, hit .354 for the Demon Deacons this past season. 15 home runs, 66 RBIs. Led the team in hits, runs scored, home runs, and RBIs, and total bases. Helped lead Wake Forest to the 2023 College World Series a couple years ago. That was with the 16th overall pick. They also took Riley Quick with the 36th overall pick in the competitive balance round A out of Alabama. 6'6". He's a big dude. 255 pounds, 8-3 with an ERA just under 4. Their last pick was with this guy, Quentin Young with the 54th overall pick. 4 doubles, 14 home runs, 34 RBIs, 32 runs scored. He is the nephew, here's a way to make you feel old, the nephew of Dimitri Young and Delman Young. Remember Delman Young, who played for the Twins from 2008 to 2011. They also selected another pitcher, James Ellwanger, a right-hander, within the 3rd round out of Dallas Baptist with their last pick from last night. So, again, I don't know how excited you want to be on any of these guys. Temper that with the fact that knowing they're going to be a few years away. I mean, the excitement that we had on Walker Jenkins doing this show a couple years ago when they took Jenkins out of North Carolina, and he's still not in the majors yet. Now, he has been beset by injury. Currently, he's in Double-A in Wichita. You know, if they decide, going back to my previous thought, if they decide to punt on the season, why not bring the guy up? And I know they won't because, you know, you're trying to save service time and delay him going to arbitration. All that is for the new owners to deal with, and hopefully they don't do that and get the guy up as soon as possible if you want to get some butts in the seats, which goes back to my first topic. There was nobody there on Sunday on a beautiful day in Minneapolis, and I understand the opponent is what it is, but it's outdoor baseball, and for 30 years people were screaming to go outside, and now you can, and nobody goes. Anyway, the draft continues later today, runs through tomorrow with 20 rounds of players. Potential for a couple guys locally to get picked. Former Bison Davis Hamilton, now a member of the Minnesota Gophers, maybe probably the highest Bison that could be, or former Bison that could be selected, likely sometime tomorrow. And we'll keep our eyes peeled on that if anything percolates there. Last thing before we set up the show, and we talked about this on Friday's program with the Home Run Derby set for tonight. And for the first time in 8 years, the Twins are going to have a representative in it with Byron Buxton selected to participate in the Derby tonight. And it's gone through its changes over the last 30 years. We found out on Friday's show that the first time it was televised live was 1998, which still kind of blows my mind. But these are the guys that are going to be in it tonight. And if you don't, so you don't know, there's no names up there with these guys, which is probably that's perfect for what I want to talk about, because I don't know how many people would know any of these players if you just saw that. There's no names to identify them. I would say less out of 10 people to ask if they show this graphic, how many would know? 2? And that's a baseball issue more than anything. Heck, if you're to ask me, and I know the guys on here, like Cal Raleigh, I know Brent Rooker because he used to play for the Twins and they gave him up. Jazz Chisholm, yep. I don't know who the Braves representative is. James Wood, I know because he's been sensational for Washington. But that's a larger problem for baseball than anything. That the average fan, this used to be the headline event, and it goes to other all-star deals like the slam dunk contest that you don't know who's participating in it. Is it that big a deal? Which leads to our poll question today. You can vote right now at Hot Mike WDAY. Will you watch tonight's Home Run Derby? Yes, because Byron Buxton is in it. Nope, it takes too long. That's a very valid reason because it's buffeted out for 3 hours tonight. It never gets under 3. Already I got a message in. It says, I'll catch a few highlights along the way. So already one, not committing to sitting down and watching it. I'm going to tell you, we have T-ball tonight, so I'm going to miss the start of it. And if I miss Buxton in it, then I'm probably not going to watch. I'll just be honest with you. That's kind of where I'm at. The game itself I enjoy, and the fact that everybody's wearing their normal jerseys I'm on board with. But that's a larger problem for what baseball has going on. Goes back to what we were talking about last week as well, the future of the event on television. Knowing ESPN is parting ways with MLB, at least as of now, who gets this event starting next season is of intrigue. Maybe they spice it up. NBC now will have the basketball All-Star game. They're already tweaking with what they're going to, the format there. Maybe NBC has some new things planned. Anything now. You're trying to get eyeballs, especially in the middle of the summer. That would be welcome on that. We have a packed show coming up for you here on this Monday. Got our usual lineup of guests to start. We'll do our best of the weekend coming up in just a few minutes. Sam Herder will join us at 9:35. There's some breaking realignment news that could affect the FCS. How many times have I said that in the near 6 years we've been doing this show? Sam will join us coming up at 9:35. Jeff Kolpack, I believe, off of vacation, will join us at 10 o'clock this morning. We're a week out from Missouri Valley Football Conference Media Day down in Sioux Falls. Got a couple topics we'll talk about, including a Bison wrestler that's just been dominating on the offseason, Shiloh Jones, with the USA Wrestling Nationals starting this weekend up at the Dome. This time last year, Shiloh won a championship here, and now he's went on and dominating internationally after his redshirt freshman season with the Bison. That's coming up in just a few minutes. And at 10:35, we'll welcome back Moorhead standout Taye Reich to the show. Last time we had Taye on was after he was offered to play football at the University of Minnesota. This past weekend, he earned a baseball invite for Team USA's under-16 team to represent the Midwest at a pretty big tournament in North Carolina coming up next month. The man is a athletic freak in all the good sense. He'll join us coming up at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here as we start a busy week on the show. We'll take our first break. We come back. We'll salute our best of the weekend. Glad you're joining us. Hot mic is off and rolling. We're back after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KNBN, and Inforum.com. All right, we do it each and every Monday. We salute our best of the weekend. Some good candidates here to choose from. Gonna start. Nothing better than getting up on a Sunday morning and watching some good golf. This weekend we'll have it with the Open Championship. Yesterday was one of the LPGA majors, the Evian Championship in France. Not necessarily what I was glued to, but saw a couple things on Twitter. I'm like, all right, we got some good finish here. So we'll pick it up. Grace Kim is looking for her first major championship. This is the 18th hole. She is down, as you can see, by 2 shots. This is her approach at the par 5. Watch this, folks. This is delicious. Backs it up. Taps that in for eagle to tie. Battling it out here with Gino Thitcool, who misses that putt. That was to win. That was a birdie, so we go to a playoff. Now, Kim hits her approach in the penalty area, so she's chipping here for birdie and holes out. She makes it. Thitcool then has to make birdie, which she does. So we go to a second playoff hole. They play the 18th again. Kim has that approach, so she has this for eagle, and this is to win, and she drains it. Unbelievable comeback to get her first major championship. Think about how she played the last 3 holes of the 18th. She goes eagle, chipped in for birdie, eagle. That is an unbelievable finish to win her first major. That birdie is going to be, that chip shot is one of the all-time greats. I mean, she's dead. It's over. And she chips out and wins it. 24 years old. Put it in the hazard, so she's hitting 4 there, chips in, and wins it. That was fun stuff. Great golf there yesterday at the Evian Championship. Next, we go to the AAU basketball ranks. Again, not necessarily where our cameras or our attention is fixated, but I was told about this yesterday, like, hey, this would be pretty good to get on the show. And then I saw it, I'm like, yeah, because it has a local connection to it. Waseca's Deron Russell, who is verbally committed to play football at North Dakota State. We had him on the show. He is a 2-sport standout. You'll remember from this past March, he helped Waseca get all the way to the state championship game in 2A. They end up losing to Albany. He was on the All-State tournament team for basketball. He's hooping again this summer. getting ready for the upcoming football year, and he did this yesterday at a tournament in Minneapolis with a one-handed throwdown. Watch it in slow motion. Ryan James, who covers high school hoops in the state of Minnesota, called this one of the best dunks he's seen all year. Calls Russell a top 10 player in the state in basketball. And he's going to play football for the Bison. That is emphatic one-handed dunk yesterday. Pretty good player, folks. That was fantastic. Salute to Durant on that one, throwdown. He finished with 15 points, 5 of 10, playing in the Minnesota Select he plays for against the Minnesota Fury. That was the championship yesterday, which the Select won 72-71 was the final there. Again, AAU hoops, not necessarily something we're plugged into, but when we have a play like that from a guy that we're going to get to know, worth showing here on our Best of the Weekend. All right, normally we stay away from the professional ranks, but after what happened Saturday, and it happened at 1 o'clock, but apparently more people were there than I thought at Target Field this weekend to watch Twins Pirates. Apparently they're giving away tickets after the Nelly concert on Friday. Byron Buxton came back to the lineup in a big-time way this weekend. Saturday, historic at Target Field. Started pretty innocuously with this. He beats out a base hit here. So he's got a single. Comes up again, bottom of the second, crushes this to the deepest part of the park at Target Field. And once it got over O'Neill Cruz's head, it was in trouble. He ends up at third base and a triple. So 2 at-bats. He's got a single and a triple. Comes up again, bottom of the third. Hammers this to left off the wall. Bounces over for a ground rule double. So now you're on cycle watch. Comes up again, bottom of the 7th inning. He's got 4 hits on the day. Make it 5 with an absolute bomb to center to complete the cycle. He goes 5 for 5. Becomes the first Twin to have a cycle at Target Field in the Twins' blowout win over the Pittsburgh Pirates. The first Twin to hit for the cycle since Jorge Polanco did it in Philadelphia in 2019 at Citizens Bank Park. The list of guys that have hit for the cycle in Twins history is a mixture of all-time greats with some... Really? Gary Ward. Older viewers of our show may remember Gary Ward. He did it in 1980 against the Brewers in Milwaukee. Carlos Gomez did it. Why can't the Mets find players like him? He's traded for Johan Santana. He did it in 2008. I remember that. Jason Kubel did it. I anchored the sports that night, 2009, when he did it at the Metrodome. That was the last, or next to last at home. Michael Kadire did it later that year. That was a special year, that 2009 Twins team. Kirby Puckett on there. Mike Cubbage, former Mets coach as well, did it against the Blue Jays in 1978. Lyman Bostic did it in 1976. Cesar Tovar in 1972. And, of course, Rod Carew was the first Twin. Again, the mix to have it there. He did it in 1970. So it seems fitting that Buxton is on the list to do that. He's had such just an odd career. The fact when he's healthy, he can do that. He can electrify a team. And it's just been too few times that he's been able to do that because he's been unable to stay healthy. That's why I think when you saw him take the pitch off his hand on Wednesday night, immediately everybody had their collective hearts in their throat. Like, well, he probably got hurt again. Here you go. But he was able to do that, and that was electric. So that's our best of the weekend there. We wrap it up with that from Saturday. Buxton hitting for the cycle. First time that's happened in Target Field history, joining Polanco, Kadire, Kubel, Gomez, Puckett, Ward, Cubbage, Bostic. Larry Heisel did it. Cesar Tovar and Rod Carew. Those are the players in Minnesota Twins history that have hit for the cycle. It brought up I think during the ball game, what's harder to do? Is it to hit for the cycle or to throw a perfect game? Because we haven't had a perfect game, in a couple of years in baseball. And the answer is perfect game. It is. To not allow anybody on base, you have to have complete mastery of the game. And you're also relying on your fielders to not allow an error. That is way harder than cycle. Cycles happen probably more frequently than you think. There's probably a couple every year in Major League Baseball. Perfect game. Philip Umber has a perfect game, right? Another former Twin great who he threw for the White Sox and did that. That's why it's such a rare feat to do. But fun to watch. Good crowd as well. Apparently our guy Scott Engen was there because he texted me or he emailed me before the show on the home run. He was on camera. He emailed me this morning. I was at the Buxton Cycle game over the weekend. It was awesome. Fun note, you can see my buddies and I on the broadcast. 4th row up behind home plate. Can we still that? Can we get that here before we go to break on the Buxton home? Can we see Scott and his buddies behind home plate? Just got the email here into the show, so I'm not sure if we could do this here, but this goes to show. Matt Zimmer was there. Our colleague from Sioux Falls Live was at the game on Saturday. Bunch of other people I know were there. Apparently that was the game to go to besides having the Buxton bobblehead was the fact that Buxton hit for the cycle in the same game. There you have it. 4 rows up. I hope he's not the one with his head down there. That's pretty cool. That's good stuff for the broadcast there on Saturday. All right, we're due for a break. We come back. Our guy Sam Herder will join us. Get everything going on FCS. There's a team moving. Does that mean a team could move up from FCS to FBS? We'll do that on the other side of the break. Hot Mic rolls on this Monday morning. We're back on WDAY Extra, WDAY Plus, right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Monday morning show rolls on. Taye Reich from Moorhead High will join us about an hour, one of the top area football players who's also pretty darn good in baseball. He'll join us in about an hour to chat about that. But it is Monday at 9:35, which means we bring on our guy Sam Herder from Hero Sports and BetMGM to chat everything going on FCS football. We've got FCS Media Days this week, buddy boy. That means summer vacation is officially over. With a few leagues coming up. The Big Sky, I know, is later this week as well. And then Missouri Valley a week from today. The big news this morning that may affect FCS, ? Louisiana Tech has officially been invited to join the Sun Belt Conference from Conference USA. So the question I present to you, does that offer up an opening in Conference USA?
I think there's poor Conference USA because it's always them getting picked apart from another group of 5, group of 6 conference, and then they're in a position to add from the FCS. We've seen so many FCS teams move up to Conference USA since 2021. Was it 4 or 5 teams?
I believe we're 5
by now at this point. So with Louisiana Tech leaving, UTEP is also going to be leaving to the Mountain West. Delaware, Missouri State coming in, that leaves Conference USA with 10 members. And so they could stick with 10 members. I know Brett McMurphy tweeted that reports say that Conference USA is expected to remain at 10 members for 2026. Now for 2027 and beyond, who knows? Maybe they add 1, maybe they add 2 FCS teams to get to an even number with 12 members. I think Tarleton State would probably top that list. I know there's kind of been some communication between CUSA and Tarleton State. As we know, or most know, Tarleton State is all in on going to FBS. McNeese is another program that really wants to go FBS. But again, McNeese hasn't been good in football for a number of years. Great in basketball, though. Tarleton State is just fresh into their Division I transition, although they have the money, they have the location to make the jump. And so it's all these moving parts. Meanwhile, the Montanas and the Dakotas are kind of just, somewhat in the middle of nowhere, just kind of waiting to see what happens. And I just don't know if those dominoes are going to reach the Montanas or the Dakotas unless we see a seismic shift in the overall landscape of college football.
Let's dive into Tarleton because I know you've covered them for a bit. We got to see them in the FCS playoffs this past November. They scared the heck out of South Dakota after they beat Drake. Why are they in this outside of location, Sam, which is Texas? Why is Tarleton maybe the next to be on deck to move up?
Yeah, their growth has been phenomenal to see. I mean, transitioning from D2 to Division I at the start of the 2020s. They had a winning record in all of their transition years, and then last year was their first year playoff eligible. And they gave USD a scare in Vermilion. Just didn't quite have the defensive line depth to keep up with USD. And they location obviously being in Texas helps. They have a lot of money. I'm not sure what university system they're in, but I mean, they get a lot of money funneled for their athletic programs, great facilities going up. I believe their student enrollment, is strong. And so they're investing really well into athletics. They have a new basketball arena going up, recently expanded their seating for their football stadium. And so, and they're not shy about it either. They're aggressive, not quite to the level of Sacramento State where they're saying, hey, we don't care if our waiver got denied. We're going FBS. We don't care, even though it's like, well, how are you going to get there? Tarleton State has been aggressive, but they've said the right things. Their president, their AD have said, hey, look, we haven't been shy. We want to go FBS at some point in our future, but right now our focus is on being the best FCS program possible. And I think that's the right way to go about it. And so I think Tarleton is all in on going FBS, but until they get that invite, they're saying, hey, let's try to be an FCS power. I think their budget is in the mid 30 millions compared to like 20 million a few years ago. So that's going up. Yep. And so that's just why people might see Tarleton State and be like, why are they all of a sudden in the conversation to go FBS? And it's money and it's location and it's want.
They're part of the Texas A&M system, by the way, which is, but they're unlimited funds in that. So there's another. You mentioned location. This is a little bit more about them for people that don't know. As Sam mentioned, they moved to Division I in 2020. They were a D2 power at that before they moved up. They've played in the WAC or the UAC since 2021, which is ironic considering obviously what's surrounding that league. And we mentioned they made their first playoff appearance a season ago. That's a little bit of the background that surrounds with Tarleton State. And that when I saw them play a couple times last year, I'm like, that's a good program. And we talked about it when the Valley Summit deal happened. That boy, get any way to get them and Abilene into the fold. That's good for the Summit and the Missouri Valley. And as it turns out, they're gonna. Well, we don't know. At least for now, they're going to stay in the UAC going forward, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, Abilene Christian's another rising FCS program as well. And similar that same weekend around the same time, Abilene Christian was giving NDSU a bit of a scare while Tarleton State was giving USD a scare. And so Tarleton, the money is there. They've retained a good amount of their players as well, their top players. So I think their NIL situation has been pretty strong as well. So they have everything that it takes to get to the FBS. It's just a matter of when they get that invite. What
I'm intrigued about is Conference USA and what McMurphy tweeted, and you mentioned that they don't have to. They could stay at 10. I just don't get the sense anybody wants to stand pat. I imagine that they're going to make a move. I don't see them staying at 10.
Yeah, it seems like there's so much angst out there with so much movement going on and maybe it's pressure from fans or boosters or whatever, but when there's so much movement going on in your school, whatever school it is, isn't doing anything, sometimes fans might look at that and be like, well, what are we doing? How are we positioning ourselves? And sometimes the best move, whether it's from a school perspective or a conference perspective, is just say, hey, we're good where we're at right now. Now, the problem with that for Conference USA is, do you just wait around for someone to pick you apart again and then you add, or do you try to be the aggressor and add two more, FCS teams to get to 12? But it seems like, we'll see what the Pac-12 does. Maybe they try to add a football-only member from the AAC, and then the AAC has to add. I know some Sun Belt members aren't fans of the LA Tech Louisiana Tech edition. And so, maybe some Sun Belt teams want to go to the AAC, and that creates another round of group of 5 movement. But it seems right now everyone is kind of set. And so if everyone's set, Conference USA might say, well, we don't think we're going to get picked apart again.
Right.
Let's just stay at 10, because if they add Tarleton and McNeese, that's not going to increase the revenue pot. It's just going to be more mouths to feed from their current revenue pot. And so there's 2 ways of thinking. And that's why I think for now, they're probably not going to add for 2026. And then for 2027, they'll reevaluate and say, hey, do we want to add 2 FCS members? Do we need to? We'll see ultimately what they decide to do.
Conference USA has 5 former FCS teams there. Jack State, Kennesaw, Sam Houston, Delaware, and Mo State. All teams of the Bison have played. You just sit there and you just, okay. You just kind of just grit your teeth at that, but that's where they're at with Conference USA. I know you had a chance to visit with new UND head football coach Eric Schmidt for your pod. I was curious your thoughts on what you got. We're gonna have Eric on the show next week when we're down at Missouri Valley Football Conference Media Days about what he's inherited and what the first 7 months have been like on the job for him.
Yeah, it was a great interview. It was interesting to kind of hear, the passion, obviously that he has with playing at UND, knows the region, coached at UND for a number of years as well, and just asking him about his FBS experience and kind of blending that into, what works at the FCS level, kind of blending in during spring ball, UND's core group of guys coming back, because they have a good amount coming back. I like their offensive line. I like their running back room. Simon Ramfo is coming back as well, along with, some transfers coming in at the quarterback position to push for that starting job, blending those returners in with those transfers, because they do have, a few FCS guys that were contributors at their previous school. And so how do you blend that in with, a new head coach, some new additions on the coaching staff, talking to him about facilities. Maybe casual FCS fans aren't totally aware of it, but UND's facilities are as good as there are out there at the FCS level. And then just talking to him about recruiting as well. Recruiting is what it is, especially at the FCS level. You don't take into account rankings too much and all of that. But when you see UND beating out some FCS Powers 4 recruits, that's something I don't recall seeing a whole lot beforehand. And so just asking them about, recruiting philosophy, how they've had this early success. I thought it was a good 27-minute conversation with Coach Schmidt that I know a lot of UND fans enjoyed it as well.
I have to wonder here is the SEC is holding its media days today, and obviously the other thing Greg Sankey's going to be asked about is normally about the college football playoff for the SEC going to 9 league games. We have to get to a point, I would imagine soon, now the settlement is behind us, quote unquote behind us, because I know there's going to be lawsuits following. When are we going to just announce we're going to have 3 football divisions in Division 1, 3 sections of Division 1? Because then we can actually move on to this, and the Bison and Jackrabbit fans that are in angst about not being in the FBS we can mold Conference USA, the Sun Belt, the MAC, Mountain West together with the top 10 FCS, have a 32-team playoff, and let's go. Let's just get it on.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I know there's been, even last week, Montana's AD Ken Haslam had a quote saying, I don't want to go FBS just to FBS because, when it comes to being cost effective, that's just not the move for us. But what is the FBS? Like, what does that mean moving into the FBS? Is there a scenario where the group of, or like the bottom of FBS, pretty much non-A4, non-Power 4 schools, they come down in a sense while we meet them right there in the middle, talking FCS powers, because I think there's a lot of interest and angst and anxiousness about what the A4 is going to do. That's the autonomous 4, which are the Power 4 conferences. There's a new governance vote happening next month, which pretty much gives these Power 4 conferences huge voting power. Yep. They can decide to make the rules how they want them. They can adjust postseason access and all that if they really want to. But there's kind of this talk about a new subdivision being created where the A4 for football kind of operates under their own rules. Now, there's a scenario where they have their own subdivision operate under their same rules, but the FBS postseason is still the same. They still have the CFP, the group of 5 still has their auto, there's still the bowl game system. But there's also just kind of speculation of, maybe they're maybe there is 3 D1 subdivisions for football that get created where the Power Four has their own thing. The group of 5 kind of molds with the top of FCS, and then the FCS, there'll probably still be 100 plus remaining FCS teams. They're doing their own thing,
right.
Or keep on doing their thing with the 2014 bracket. How we get there, I don't know. It's going to have to start with the A4 because the group of 5, they don't want any part of this, right? They want to be at the top level. They want to attach, themselves to the A4. They don't want to be in this middle subdivision and meet with the top FCS teams because they're going to feel relegated and they're going to feel like, well, we're just in the FCS again. It's just called something different. And so all the talk about the FCS and G5 merging, that's more so speculation. And I only hear it from FCS ADs and coaches saying, well, maybe this will happen. Like the group of 5's not talking about that because they don't want that.
No, they don't.
So
Nope.
I think it makes sense as long as that protects the NCAA tournaments, baseball, softball, basketball, keep that the same.
Yeah.
But football to me just needs a complete restructuring because I've said this multiple times and I know I always offend people. There's no reason why Mercyhurst and NDSU should be in the same subdivision.
Nope.
There's no reason that Sam Houston and Texas should be in the same subdivision for football. It doesn't make sense. FCS is watered down. FBS is watered down. We need 3 subdivisions in football. How we get there, when we get there, I don't know, but maybe we're making baby steps to making that happen.
I was of the mindset forever that they would never mess with the basketball tournament. I think they will. I think they're going to go do their own basketball tournament. I really believe that now. After what's happened over the last couple of years, I think they can just nuke that, and then we get maybe what we want there too. I don't know. At this point, I think everything's on the table. I really believe that.
Yeah, and with this new governance and the A4 having pretty much total voting power. I mean, the FCS will have representation, group of 5 will have voting representation, but the A4 can kind of make the rules. And so there is that nervousness of, well, what if they say, hey, mid-majors or even low majors, you don't necessarily get your auto bid anymore. Maybe we'll take these 2 auto bids. We'll make you guys have a playing game into the tournament. And so you're not even like first 4, but like a playing game into the actual tournament. So we're taking away one last auto bid and giving it to the 13th SEC team for an at-large bid. I think there is concern there. And the power conferences, those schools starting their own basketball tournaments. I think that is a major concern because the NCAA tournament as it is right now subsidizes the other tournaments. Like it helps pay for the FCS playoffs and the baseball tournament and the softball tournament, volleyball tournaments, and it also helps subsidize mid-major schools and conferences because they get a part of those payouts. And so I do think that would be a massive concern if those A4 schools separate for the basketball tournaments. I also know there's been some mid-major ADs that have said, you know what, enough's enough. Just take your ball, go over there. We'll figure it out. We'll survive. We'll figure it out. We'll do our own thing as well. Let's just stop this death by 1,000 cuts and just you guys go your own way. We'll figure it out, as we go. I know there's some of that mindset, but overall, there's so much money in the current NCAA tournament where if that goes away, I do think that is a concern for mid-major schools.
I think we got it all figured out. There, we needed 20 minutes. We got everything done. Thanks for the time as always. I'll see you next week in Sioux Falls, all right?
Yes, that sounds good. See you there.
Sam Herder joins us each and every Monday to get the ball rolling here on our show. We'll take a break. We'll come back, wrap up our first hour. Big second hour on tap. We'll do that when Hot Mike returns on a Monday morning. We're back right after this. All right, wrapping up our first hour. Thanks to Sam Herder for giving us a few minutes there. A couple other emails coming in. We'll save them for later in the show on the Home Run Derby. It's our poll question today about watching it and about tomorrow night's All-Star game. Just going back, circling on the thing we were talking with Sam on, the latest realignment, and you can take from what you want on where we're going and potentially if FBS is done after this, which I don't think we're ever going to be done. There's always going to be some sort of movement because somebody's going to be unhappy with their current financial situation and want to try an improvement or they believe will improve it. Conference USA, which I stuck my nose up at about 3 years ago, I would welcome with open arms if they were to extend an invitation to Fargo and Brookings. I would tell you that in a heartbeat. Just you want to be in on the party. Because I've maintained now to get to 3 divisions or levels of Division I football, they don't want that. Mountain West and Conference USA, they don't want to be grouped with they want to stay playing up with the big boys. And this thought of them breaking away, I don't think that's less going to happen now since the lawsuit came down with the House settlement. And I don't foresee that now being a deal. I would hope so. That would be better for everybody involved. But I don't. The powers that be love chaos that run college football. I believe that wholeheartedly. That they keep tinkering, they keep adjusting, they keep messing with it. We can't figure out a number to get to play our championship level at. We had it at 4. Well, we had it at 2 forever. Then we went to 4. Now we had it for 12 one year, and we want to blow it up and now go to 14 or 16 or whatever. Just constant tinkering. We just can't leave well enough alone just to, okay, let's see how it plays out for a bit. Then maybe we can mess with it. There's just constant with this, and it goes to where the division is right now and with college football specifically is right now. But look, college basketball is following suit too. We talked about it ad nauseum last week with the tournament, and they came away with nothing decided. After a week of meeting, they said, we're going to stand pat, at least for now, that we could move up to 72 or 76. It just, I understand everybody. By the time we get to this part of the calendar, can we at least get back to stuff on the field? And I would tell you that's coming. It's not that far away. But the constant tinkering, man, I get it. It's enough to make anybody shake their head. Just wild. All right, we're due for a break. We'll get back on time. We come back. We'll start our second hour. Jeff Kolpack will join us. Lots to get to there. Taye Reich from Moorhead High coming up in about a half hour as well. Back on a Monday morning edition of Hot Mike on WDAY Extra right after this.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo. It's that time. An author.
Offensive production, number 1. Number 2. I forgot.
Golfer.
It'd be like going on a 3-person best shot, and we were saying, Kolpack, you got to make a 25-footer every time. You wouldn't putt first. I'd have Tim putt first.
And one heck of a TV personality.
This game is for the Cooper Cup.
It's the Forum's Jeff Kolpack.
4! I should have yelled 2.
Well, here he is, apparently on his way back to the links. I've got you here in studio.
No comment. No, what are you talking about?
Well, you look dressed for golf. That's all I'm going to say.
Just no comment.
Just passing through.
Just,
You see Kolpack on the golf course today. You know why.
I cannot confirm or deny.
It's great to see you. How was your
You as
weekend?
well?
I took in the Evian Championship. I watched the final few holes with Grace Kim yesterday. Did you see what happened there?
Yeah, she chipped in from some
Crazy
absurd
shot.
angle.
She finished. She went eagle, birdie, eagle to win the Evian yesterday.
Which
that
is a
was
major.
Right.
Yep.
Unbelievable golf shots that she had down the stretch. And you mentioned to win a major championship it was fantastic to see it play out like that.
No, I did the Mark Knutson ride in Detroit Lakes on Saturday, which is I'm proudly wearing the cap. Mark is still first and foremost in front of people's minds, and a little smoky, but
yeah. Guys, that was 2 years now.
Yeah, and that route goes by the spot where he had his accident, and you just every time I go by there, you just can't help but think.
Yep. It's just tough not to, especially it was about 2 years now because it was in July, if I remember right.
Right about now.
Man, crazy. How long is the ride?
29 miles.
Oof. How long did you do it in?
10 minutes. No, I don't know, hour and a half or something. I don't get too wound up over time trials. This isn't the Tour de France.
Well, see, it's funny you bring that up because it's on TV and it's not. I used to watch it religiously when ESPN used to have it on when I was a kid because you had nothing else going on in the summer. I'd watch it like, man, this is just unbelievable. These guys would do this. It's not on as much anymore. I don't find it as easily anymore. I'll say that.
I mean, I don't get into it like some of my bicycle buddies get into it.
They watch.
Oh yeah,
every stage.
Oh gosh, yeah. And they're talking about who's making the move and this and that. And when we were out in our Colorado little trip, and they're getting into. I'm just going. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if it's Van de Velde or who's leading.
I understand. It's Open Championship though week as well. Excited about that.
Yes.
That's at Royal Port Rush over at Northern Ireland, so you always can watch golf at 6 o'clock in the morning. Is always fun. Our guy Tom Hoagie's playing in it again. He made the cut at the Open for the first time last year. This is not his cup of tea. He seems to struggle when he plays overseas.
He missed the cut at the Scottish Open by a shot or two, and just doesn't. It's just growing up in North Dakota, there's links course here. Who knows? I mean, your games are tailored to different style of courses. He's good like at Pebble Beach.
Yep.
He's pretty good at Pebble Beach. He's good at TPC in Florida. I mean, he set the course record there. And then some courses he just prefers not to play.
You think that wind would be conducive to him, but links kind of wind is different than
it's just,
Fargo, North Dakota kind of wind, I guess.
And it's just different. I mean, I haven't played over there or even been over there, but just watching on TV, it's different with all the different angles and the roll-ups and the greens, just the undulation is out of control. The bunkers are 9 feet high.
I was listening this weekend, by the way, to your award-winning show. Dakota Junior Golf is blowing up.
It is.
Give us the load. How has this happened? Chris Geis, who we've had on the show several times, took over this, I want to say, five years ago?
Yeah, this is year 5.
I want to say 5 years ago he took over this entity, and boy, it's become a thing here in North Dakota.
It starts with leadership. I mean, it starts with Chris and his vision when he took over 5 years ago to make it somewhat full-time during the summer and these kids, and they've just... If people have hopped on board, I mean, there was a void for kids in competitive golfing events and tournaments in the summer. You know, in baseball, we're competitive. In soccer, they're competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, all summer. In basketball, they're competitive all summer. And golf just was missing that competitiveness, and the numbers have been really out of sight. I mean, nobody foresaw. They're breaking numbers every tournament they go to. And so it'll be interesting to see. And I asked him on my show that as that transformed into lower scores on kids earlier, and we said, yeah, definitely yes. But it'll be interesting to see now as we go forward, because baseball got better in Fargo and West Fargo in the last 10, 15 years because we made it competitive and went to tournaments and had indoor facilities.
And right, the advent of indoor facilities certainly there.
And now since then there's been Division I players, pro players, Division II players. I mean, it used to be in Post 2 if you have a college kid or two, it was pretty good. Now most.
Correct.
West Fargo, most of these kids are going on to college.
Correct.
And that's a product of the environment that they grow up in and development. It's about development. So it'll be interesting to see in the youth golfing world here as we go forward to 5, 6, 7, 8 years and the development of these kids, how many more will go on and get college scholarships? I think it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah. If they're already doing it now and the record that they're shattering in terms of getting out there, scoring is, you think, going down, at least competitive-wise. High school golf, seeing that in North Dakota, has gotten better. You would think if the trend continues, you're going to see that go to the next level.
And we've gotten over the stigma that just because you're in North Dakota and Midwest and you have winter, that you can't be good and do stuff all year round with indoor simulators and teaching, and just it's just all gotten so much better. And actually, too, I mean, I look at the coaching, and it's just there's just better development out there.
I would look at, Ryland Petrie's a great example of that. Kid from Fertile, Minnesota, just won the River Ram last month over at Moorhead Country Club. That's not necessarily a golf haven, even though they have a pretty cool course up there. Perfect example of that. Guy that went to Bemidji State, was almost burned out playing the game, and then comes to NDSU and has found a whole other gear in basically his second chapter of golf.
And did have the greatest of first years at NDSU. I think he played in only 4 tournaments. But again, just like I said, that's a tribute to Steve Kennedy and his program and how he develops kids. The indoors you're hitting 100-yard shots all winter long if you want. And golf, I've heard if you're good from 100 yards in, and it's pretty helpful.
You got to be straight and 100 yards in, right?
Got to be straight and 100 yards in. By the way, speaking of golf, the champ, Fargo South, class of 82 high school golf tournament. I was going to bring the trophy, and I forgot.
You got a trophy?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I can't believe you forgot anything about
Eric,
that.
Come on, call up my Twitter account.
What did you win?
No, I didn't put it on Twitter. It's my Facebook.
Yeah. What did you win?
Pride.
Really?
And a green jacket. And we got a green jacket.
Well, congratulations on that.
We don't have to go into scores, do we?
Hey, you brought it up, man. You opened up this can of worms, so I don't have to ask if you don't want to talk about it. I have a couple things for you here. I know you're on vacation, so dare that I break that up. But we're a week away from our football coverage really getting to the high gear because Missouri Valley Football Conference Media Day is a week from today in Sioux Falls. Give me, if there are a couple storylines, not Bison related. We have 4 new coaches in the league, which is the most since North Dakota State, South Dakota State have got in. We're down to 10 teams. We've got a huge changeover of players. What to you grabs your attention? You're interested in?
Well, I'm curious to talk about the whole situation with FCS football and 10 new schools coming in that aren't really so hot.
Yeah.
As far as it's not like NDSU and South Dakota State coming in, 2 decades ago. These are schools, and I don't have the figures in front of me, that their endowments, their university endowments are far less than NDSU's athletic endowment.
Oh.
There's just not a lot. I don't know if there's investment there. I think Stonehill has a pretty good, but that's an academic private school.
Private school.
They have a pretty good endowment.
Yep.
But, I mean, Chicago State.
Yep. I know.
Do we have to say any more?
UT Rio Grande Valley will start play football this year.
Chicago State does. I don't even know if they have a field yet.
They don't have a place. They have not determined where they're
some
going
high school somewhere.
Yep. University of New Haven is moving up from Division II to FCS football. It's another small private school. I'm curious on. Some are committed. They want to be good in football, and that's good. You want that. Just how many are
on these new ones?
I think Rio Grande Valley is definitely in Texas. They want to be competitive in football. New Haven, I've been there. I know they want to be good in football.
And actually, Rio Grande Valley's got a pretty good enrollment.
They want those are at least a couple. Stonehill, Mercyhurst, these ones that are new to is Lindenwood committed? You've been down there.
No.
I mean, that's a new one to the party here.
Aren't they all about hockey?
I mean, so how many are actually all in football? That's good. I'm intrigued, honestly, on South Dakota State because I was having this discussion upstairs with Stace on Friday about I had the Jacks. I picked second in my preseason,
and that's on
poll.
Reputation alone because we don't know so many players.
That's what Stace was answering back with me because he's like, "Well, okay, but how good are they?" And I think Quentin Christian is back. I think Mason's going to be good. I don't think he's going to be as good as some of our colleagues in South Dakota believe he's going to be. They have a couple pieces back. Defensively is what I'm really intrigued about the Jacks. That's where they took their football program to another level over the last couple of years was how good they were defensively. The amount of guys they lost on that side and what they are potentially trying to replace them with is the big question going forward in my mind.
A huge question, and there's no way none of us could predict right now. I know you put them second.
I did.
Based on Reputation,
yes,
and the way they develop
and
kids,
what they have coming back, yes.
And what everybody else lost, too.
Correct.
I mean, South Dakota lost a lot.
South Dakota lost 5 All-Americans in April.
5.
I mean, you can say the Bison lost Marty Brown, who is the freshman of the year, and they lost Cody Heisman, who was an all-conference player. The Coyotes lost 5 All-Americans in April, in just alone. That's I don't care how deep your program is. That is really, really tough,
and especially on the offensive line, it's hard to. I mean, you talk about guys. You need men. I don't know if they have enough. If they've had older guys there that are 305 and have been lifting and power lifting and eating right for 3 years and looked the part. Maybe they do. I don't know. There's so many unknowns. I just, what is SIU? We never know what they are every year.
Their quarterback, Jake Curry, got hurt the week before we saw them play. I mean, so full season with them. Right now, we have 4 returning quarterbacks that we know. Bauman, by far, is the most senior of them. He's about to enter his 3rd year as the starter. Bo Brungard is the starter at Youngstown, who we didn't even see the last couple of years. He's more of a running quarterback than a thrower. Rumpho's back, but I don't think anything's guaranteed with him as being the starter at UND next season.
I don't think so.
Who else? Illinois Rittenhouse. Your guy Tommy Rittenhouse, who was I had to go back and look at this. He was I thought the same thing. He was an honorable mention all of the Valley last year.
Yeah.
So the one time we saw him, he stunk. But the other 7 games, he was actually pretty darn good for Illinois State. That's it for returning quarterbacks in the Valley this year.
It all goes back to defense, though. Who usually wins the title every year and why?
I think the Bison are going to be really good on defense. I really believe that.
Well, that puts them an easy prohibitive favorite.
I would say that I think they're going to be stronger on defense than offense this year. I believe that. But the guys, it's a complete flip-flop from what last year secondary-wise. Look at what they have back in the secondary now. All their starters are back.
And he lost Sibomana to FBS, but
I don't think that's a huge loss.
I don't think so either. Donovan
Woolen is the real deal.
He's 6. He's not Jabril, but he's
got to play. He's got to go out there and play, and I think he will.
He looks like Jabril. Yes. I'm not saying he's playing like Jabril, but he looks
6'3", 220.
He looks like him.
I don't foresee him being here long. I just don't. If he has a kind of year that I think that they're hoping he can have, I don't believe he's here in Fargo much longer.
But now with your 6-figure tax-deductible donation to the Green and Yellow Fund, they'll keep him, Dom.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to keep
the Dom Izzo outside linebacker scholarship.
You think me as an outside linebacker? There's no way in the world. I'd be a great holder. Great holder on special teams. We're due for a break. Let's take one now. Get a couple other topics before Kolpack has to get to the first tee. Back here on a Monday morning edition of Hot Mike right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Jeff Kolpack with us. His appearance is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Appreciate that.
Our good friends at Northwestern Mutual.
Email comes in. Dom, lead sports story in South Dakota today was that Sioux Falls pitcher Marcus Phillips was the first-round pick of Boston, selected 33rd overall. Going back to what we were talking about earlier about the rise of talent in this part of the world. Mm-hmm. There you go, a guy from South Dakota getting picked in the first round of the Major League Baseball draft.
What's
yesterday.
He throw? Any idea?
Hard, about high 90s. But pitched to Tennessee as well. So Sioux Falls got a lot to be celebrating down there today.
Was he part of that Little League team?
I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that. But yeah, that was. They had a couple go through there that were really, really, really good. And that, Fargo's experience, that Drew Rarick was on that first Little League team, and now he's pitching it in the SEC. He's going to be going to Oklahoma next year. That likely 2 years' time, he's going to get drafted somewhere high if his collegiate career goes the way he wants it to go.
Yeah. It's a product of a lot of things that have gone right.
Email comes in off our last topic. Dom and Jeff, don't think you're giving enough credit to Illinois State. They have Mason King back this year, quarterback back. Spack always gets more out of his team than initially thought. What do you make of that? They won 10 games last year, made the second round of the tournament.
I didn't think they'd win 10 last year. And Spack, we always think, is this it for him?
Well, Spack's now the old man on the block with all the coaches that have gone. Brock is the leader in the clubhouse in that, which he's all-time guest favorite. Love Brock. I
just don't think they
Mason
have enough.
King being back is a big deal, though. He's the best running back in the league.
But they just never have enough firepower to compete with the Dakotas.
See, we usually see them at their absolute worst. Whether they're playing the Jackrabbits or the Bison, and they normally don't fare well. This past year, I think it was 42-10 when the Bison were in normal. But against everybody else, they normally play pretty well.
And it's back to normal again this year.
It is. The Bison, it will be a night game in normal for the first time as well.
Right.
In early October.
They're just trying everything they can.
It's a whiteout game, I was just told as well from our friends down there, that they're going to have a whiteout in the stands. It all depends, and now with just 10 teams, you're only missing one team on the schedule. It's who you miss, because back when it was 11 and 12, if you were missing South Dakota State or NDSU, boy, you had a chance then to make the playoffs. But if you have to play some instances, two of the Dakotas out of the four, that's tough. And now that luxury is gone, is done so with only 10 teams in the league.
At least Northern Iowa's back on NDSU's regular rotation.
Yeah.
That should never have gone off.
I have Northern Iowa. I picked them 8th. 8th.
Yeah, there's a lot of question
Northern
marks.
Iowa is not good. They have a lot of. They have a new coach. Todd Stepsis is now the guy there who's the former Drake coach who got hired to take over at UNI. He did a great job at Drake, and maybe he will. They got to spend some money, and I don't have any. If they have any money to spend at Northern Iowa now,
I was just going to say that. I think it's a matter of budget. I think Mark Farley, as it turns out, did a lot with less.
Yep.
In his budget, and we saw they are last in the league, and what figure did I see that? But they are down there for budget.
Yep. Youngstown, we get back on the schedule, and Doug Phillips is now in his 5th year there for a team that's made the playoffs a couple years ago. They lost a ton too. Youngstown's gotten ravaged the last couple of years in the portal, and that's tough. Where he's trying to build it high school way. We're going to recruit guys to come here and play and get back into that Youngstown lineage, and
which was great. I thought that's a way to build it, and then
it was the opposite of what Bo is doing.
And then he does that, and it looks like they're trending up.
Yep.
And then here comes the portal, and there goes their entire defensive line.
I'm really interested with South Dakota, and go back to them here, just with obviously a new coach and what they lost. Returning quarterback, most experienced, Charles Pierre Jr.'s back. They open up with Iowa State, so it's nothing easy to go into the schedule with. Them and UND. I think UND might be better than we think as well. I think Schmidt's going to do an okay job.
I think so too. But South Dakota, if you're, a returning quarterback, Aiden Bauman, but the problem is if you're running for your life all game.
Correct. What Bauman signed up for on December, whatever it was 19th,
was not what he got.
Was not what he got now. No, because he was thinking, well, I got 4 returning starters in my offensive line. I'm going to have a stud at wide receiver back, and all those guys are no longer there. And 2 studs on the defense to help us out, and those guys are gone. That's tough, right? That is really, really tough.
I think a big game early on, Montana State, South Dakota State. That is going to be a good benchmark game.
For the Jackrabbits.
For both.
I think Montana State's good. They're loaded. I know what they lost. I think Veeks has got it. They're going to be
okay.
They're going to be
That's
good.
what I'm saying. If they stomp them at home, then what's that?
So South Dakota State opens with Sac State at home, playing the JV team in South Dakota State, and then going to Bozeman. Yeah, that's really difficult for the Jackrabbits to open up the Dan Jackson area. Yeah. I think, as being a former defensive coach as he is in Jackson, I'm intrigued to see that side of the ball. Because I think Mason is the great, unknown. We saw him. He's got great, unbelievable athlete. How well he can throw.
Yep.
That's something we're trying to answer here in Fargo with Cole Payton.
But you mentioned it. That's where South Dakota State passed NDSU was defensively.
Yes.
Way back in the 90s, UND caught up and passed NDSU because they got better defensively. They were really good defensively. And so that to me is what it's all about. To get to Frisco, you got to stop teams.
Yes. And that's what the Jacks were really darn good over the last couple of years. And the guys that they lost, like a Kobe Claiborne in the middle, like it's a Cody Heisman kind of player. Like you can't find those guys in the portal. I've been screaming this now for 2 months on the fact if you add a guy that's dropping down, Kolpack, and the Bison fans have said this to them as well, there's a reason why they're dropping down. Maybe he didn't play. Maybe he can't play at that level. I don't know. Maybe the fact you expect a guy that's dropping down to
for
be
immediate help,
right, or to
tough.
be like an FCS All-American, I think is
not immediately.
I think that's too much to ask out of a player that's moving down a level.
I think you got to find a guy who is 3rd or 4th string as a redshirt freshman or something. You bring him in. Yeah. He's probably not going to be an impact player, most likely not. But then you bring him in and develop him on your own terms, and then maybe in a couple, 3 years, he becomes a pretty good player. To expect a guy from Nebraska who never saw the field to come in and be an impact at this level, not at this level. I mean, it's hard.
I think the other way, if you're going from NAIA up, I think, and the Jacks have seen that. And have the proof positive. Like Jason Freeman was a perfect example of that. Came from NAIA, it became an All-American in the FCS. That way is more feasible than the other way, in my opinion.
You're saying they're a better player, already more.
Correct.
More
because
they've tuned.
And they've played more.
Right.
Like a guy who's played for 2 years at the NAIA level or the Division III level can more readily help you, I believe, than a drop down that hasn't played at the FBS level.
Boy, college is such a different animal than high school football. It's just, I don't care what level.
And if you've sat for 2 years and haven't played, like the Bison have got a couple guys like that have barely played. It might be a bit before they're on the field. Expecting game 1 right out of the chute at the Citadel for some of these Bison transfers to come in, I think is probably too high a bar to ask for, in my opinion.
Going to be 110 degrees, though, and 90% humidity at the Citadel. Citadel. How many players do the Bison bring on their charter?
Oh.
Because you can bring as many as you want, I believe, on non-conference.
They'll bring, I bet you,
90.
I don't know if they'll bring that many. We might need 2 planes if they're going to do that. I bet you 72, 73. I bet you they bring more than that, you think?
I think so.
The question to ask the football coach.
I mean,
depending on how you
maybe you bring
the game.
A 3-4 true freshman and you make them part of that 4-game deal.
Maybe 75. I'll ask that football coach that next week when we see him. I'm curious on how many they're going to bring down there. But knowing full well that maybe the first 2 games you have an opportunity to do that when you travel, you can have that do that.
Does this mean I have to work?
Yeah, unfortunately, your vacation time is done. I know the first tee is called in your name, so I appreciate you coming by. And we will see you next Monday in Sioux Falls. All right?
Can't wait. Actually, I'm really looking forward to it. That media day, I'm glad they're doing it.
It's a long time coming. We haven't done one in person since 2008.
Ton of stories we need to do.
Yep, that's going to be good stuff. Thanks for my buddy boy. We'll see you later. Jeff Kolpack joins us each and every Monday. His appearance is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. And we'll see Jeff next Monday, part of our coverage of Missouri Valley Media Day down in Sioux Falls. We're due for a break. We come back. We'll visit with Moorhead standout Taye Reich on not just football, but now baseball standout being invited for Team USA's U16 team. That's coming up on the other side of the break. Back on Hot Mic right after this. Monday morning. Our thanks to Jeff Kolpack for giving us a few minutes here. Much more on the Missouri Valley Football Conference Media Day. We'll give you all the details we got coming up on that later on in the week. Taye Reich is going to join us here in just a couple minutes. So let me give you the background on what exactly is going on, because I had to read up on this because I think you follow everything, and then you get some new invite or new event that ends up happening. But he and Kason Borkhardt, who's a great player out of West Fargo-Horace, who I'm hopeful we're going to have on the show in the not-too-distant future, each were selected to participate in a Team USA event. And for baseball, and we know Tay, obviously, we had him on the show in March, I want to say, when he was officially offered by University of Minnesota, and he's picked up a couple more football offers along the way. But he and Borkhardt have been picked to represent the Midwest at the 16U National Team Identification Series Championship Cup in August. And how we found out, I'll let him tell that part of the story. Is a pretty neat deal on that. But he's hit 382, 4 doubles, 3 triples, 76 at-bats for the Spuds this past year. Of course, Moorhead had one of the great stories in high school baseball in our area, with them making the state baseball tournament for the first time in 35 years. And Tay obviously was a huge part of that. And here he is right off the football field as he's doing a football workout this morning, is the superstar from Moorhead. There's no rest for the wearies. We got him right off the gridiron. It's good to see you, bud. How you been? Oh, you're muted there. You get it there. There you go.
Hey.
How you been?
I've been pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for the time this morning. All right, give us the lowdown. Everybody knows you on the football field. You're a heck of a pretty good baseball player as well. How did this come about?
Well, it was when we made it to state, won our section championship, first time in 35 years. That was just an incredible experience. And we had the opportunity to go play at the state tournament. And after we played Minnetonka, unfortunately we lost. But after we played them, their head coach talked to me and just, told me, asked me how old I was and stuff. And he told me, we really want to have you come down and play for USA Baseball in North Carolina this coming August. And I was, yeah, that's really what he told me.
What was your reaction?
I really at the time, I guess, even now, it's just, I don't really know what to think. It's just crazy to think me, out of all people, have the opportunity to go down there and play some baseball with some really, really high level kids that they are committed to baseball. Baseball's their life.
This level of tournament here, these are for guys that you mentioned, baseball's their life. They want to go on, probably play baseball at the next level, maybe having dreams of playing professionally. You're part of that. What's that mean to you?
I mean, it's crazy for me to think about. All these kids are some of them are probably nationally ranked and all this stuff. And they're playing for Canes national teams and all this cool stuff. And it's just great to be a part of this and to be a part of an experience with them too. And just playing at a level that they're playing at as well.
So Tay, if I understand correctly, you correct me if I'm wrong, this is encompassing how many states, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, how many other states does this take up for what you're representing in the Midwest region?
I honestly have no idea. I know North Dakota, Minnesota, probably South Dakota. I know Ohio. That's all I know, but it's a lot of states.
So, okay, you find out this. It's got to be kind of the swing of emotion. You just lost. You played a heck of a game. You had the lead on Minnetonka, and you lose, and then you find this out. How did you handle that the day after, or just the immediate aftermath of losing and then finding out you got this invite?
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I didn't really want to say anything about it because, the vibes weren't really, upbeat and happy and all this stuff. So, I mean, we lost. So, I mean, then people were talking to me about it, like, what was that coach talking to you about? And then I kind of told them. I didn't really try to make it a big deal. But they're like, oh, what? Are you going to go play? I was like, I don't know, maybe.
So the tournament's coming up in mid-August, August 7th through the 10th.
Yep.
What do you have to do between now and – because I know you're in football mode now, but how are you getting ready for some more baseball to come? What's the schedule like coming up for you?
I need to make it to the cages every once in a while. I definitely need to throw because I haven't thrown in a little bit. I've been playing Mudcats a little bit. I played one game with the Mudcats, like a town ball team. But that's just going to get me some live ABs, some live reps that I, can carry over. But we'll see how I do. I should be prepared enough to play some tough competition.
Was baseball the first love for you?
No.
No, it was always football?
No, it was football. It is football. I mean, I won't rule out baseball, but more than likely that's what I want to pursue is football in the future.
When did you have a natural aptitude to baseball, or describe what made you such a great player, or you love to do it?
I mean, I do love playing baseball. Don't get me wrong; it's really fun. I love the outfield. I just remember like when I was a lot younger. Baseball was the first game that I ever played.
Yeah. So
I remember a long time ago when I was really young. My mom would just throw me pop flies for like hours. I would love doing that. That's so fun to me. I think I've always enjoyed baseball, but it's just, I guess once I go down to North Carolina, I'll see like, do I really, really love this game enough to play it a lot?
No one, is that interfering with fall camp, or is that done before fall camp starts for you guys?
It is done before fall camp starts. It's during our dead week for like football and all the school stuff. So I'll go down there and play baseball. I'll come back the next day. I'll be playing football.
So they had your schedule in mind when they put this together. It sounds like that.
Yeah, thankfully they did.
Describe balance in this, because this is a huge time. Last time we talked to you, you're obviously in the midst of college football recruiting, and that's still going crazy. And to balance this, how have you juggled that over the last couple of months?
I mean, I just kind of I play baseball when I get the chance. Obviously, I'm still really locked in for football. Moving up to 6A and all this good stuff. A lot different level of competition, higher level of competition. So we got to stay ready for that. Got to keep my body healthy. I've been dealing with a little hip flexor issue, but I'm getting it fixed. That's the biggest thing, is just not being able to run for a couple weeks. That's really just kind of just sets me back a little bit. Makes me a little sad that I can't be running with my teammates and playing baseball too, but it's feeling a lot better. So just making sure I get my football reps in, and after that, I got to make sure I'm swinging too and throwing as well. So.
Let me ask you this, and I apologize if I've asked you before. How much does baseball help you for football, and vice versa? Where do you see that doing both makes you better in either game?
Well, baseball helping with football for sure, as a running back standpoint, or any just athletic standpoint, hand-eye coordination, catching the ball, that really helps, just being an athlete, like a natural athlete. And footwork too, just with like being in the outfield. I would say football helps with the footwork aspect of playing in the outfield, and also the mentality that I have for football, like just the hardworking mentality. I carry that over to baseball, because I know some people that play baseball, their mentality is a little different. They work a little different than football does, but carrying that over just helps with like staying focused on the goal.
To able to balance both, has there ever been a time where it's just like, okay, not overwhelming, but man, that's a lot going on. I know you like to be busy and like to be staying active, but ever like, okay, I just need to sit down and get a break here? Because now you mentioned your break for football is gone because you're going to be playing baseball.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that until now. I'll go down there. I try to balance everything out. I haven't played a ton of baseball at the moment, but I'll be getting back in the cage sometime this week. I'll have to throw at least 2 times a week so my arm isn't hanging by the time I get there. But I just need to make sure I have that happy medium of everything, football life, baseball life, or just being a kid life too,
So since you've been on, obviously the Spuds made the announcement of moving up to 6A. The schedule's out. Tell me how into that you guys are. I know we had Coach Feeney on when it became official. How much you guys paid attention to this is going to happen, and look at who we get to play this upcoming fall?
Oh, we know it's gonna be a fun season. We play a lot of, I would probably say, like top 3 teams in the state. We have Maple Grove, Minnetonka, Wayzata, Edina, Eden Prairie, like a lot of really good teams, and it's just gonna be a really fun experience just to play that level of football. Moving up from 5A, we have some work to do, but I'm seeing a lot of progression throughout the whole team in the off season. So it's going to be fun. Got to get our big boys working a little bit more, but that's the biggest thing.
What do you think it's going to be like when Maple Grove is the reigning state champs and they come to Jim Goda Stadium? What that's going to be like that Friday night?
That's going to be really fun. I really cannot wait to play all these teams. Even the away games, too, are going to be really fun, just those crowds and stuff. But for the Maple Grove game and all the home games, I hope that – I would assume that a lot of the Moorhead community would come out and show support, just because we try our best to reach out to the community as well, throwing on that youth football camp last week. That was really fun to, be with all those kids. That was really fun. So hopefully those guys can make it.
I've always said, Tay, that you guys do it all the time. All you know is going that way. I'm really interested, like when they get past St. Cloud, they still have 2.5 more hours to go. What that's going to be like for them.
Yeah, that's something that I really like to stay optimistic about is like we're used to traveling pretty far. Yeah. But, I was talking to 2 years ago, we played Andover for baseball, and we were talking to them. Their furthest drive for baseball is like 30 minutes. Like, how's that going to affect how they play? They have to sit on a bus a little longer. And then if we kick the crap out of them, they got to go home and drive 3.5 hours the other way. So.
Oh, I love it. Since we last visited, I believe Iowa State offered. Tell me how life changed much, or how is the recruiting going even since the Minnesota offer? Has life got more hectic?
I would say not really yet. Besides Iowa State, it's just those same schools that have been talking to me, which I'm okay with. I don't care how many offers I get. I'm going to end up playing at one place anyways. So could have 100 offers. I could have one. I'm going to end up playing in one spot. So it really doesn't matter. I like building the connections, though. All the coaches that I've talked to are amazing. So I love the culture everywhere I go. It's awesome.
Since also you've been on, a few of your teammates obviously been offered. We had Jet on the show. Yeah. David Mack has blown up. Zach Walker's got invites. I know Jamison Dunlap just committed to go play football for the Dragons. Knowing you have this, a lot of people focus on you, but it's not all on you. Knowing you have this kind of talent, how excited are you for what 2025 could be?
I'm really excited. Like, I know some of my teammates, some people are a little like iffy about moving up to 6A, like, oh, we're gonna get crushed and stuff. But that's not the case at all. Like, if we have the mindset going into our games that like we can put up a shot and win the game, like we have a higher outcome of winning the game. We have a higher opportunity to win the game. And that's just the biggest thing for us is our mindset, because we have the skills. We 100% have the skills. It's just the fact that we need to accept that we're in 6A football now. It's not 5A anymore. We just need to understand that and just play our freaking football. We got to play our Spuds football.
I told Coach Feeney, if you can get the ball rolling on this to do the all orange look one time this season, can you make that happen for me? Orange helmet. Can we do that?
Oh,
can we do that?
If we could get orange helmets, that would be so sick. Oh my gosh,
can we do that?
Amazing.
That's what I've been pining for that for like 4 years, and he's like, we do orange jersey, orange pants, but orange helmet, man, come on, we can do this.
Hopefully, if we don't do it this year, hopefully my senior year we get some orange helmets, because that would look awesome. That would look so sick.
Tell me, is there a position on the baseball field that you haven't played or you would want to play?
Well, they don't let me pitch. Ever since freshman ball, they did not let me pitch.
Dunzo?
I'm okay with that. I like to throw off the mound every once in a while, but like all the mental stuff, if there's a runner on base, I'm not gonna do anything about it. I don't know how to do it, so yeah, I'll never pitch.
What was your go-to pitch?
Probably just a fastball. I threw pens to JV this winter, and I rung them up the whole time.
Oh.
But after that, my lat was sore for about 2 days after that. So that was the last time I pitched.
How about for you? Which one are you? Like, is there a pitch you love? Like, what's your sweet spot up at the plate? What's your ideal, the hot zone for you?
I would say, like, if I'm down in the count, I've been pretty successful when I'm down in the count. I widen up my stance a little bit, and I'm kind of aiming for contact. But when I make contact, it's kind of opposite field. That's where I like to go for 0-2, opposite field liners.
Old school hitter. That's what we like to hear. If somebody going the opposite way, don't pull it all the time. Go the opposite way. That's fantastic. Great to see you, bud. Thanks so much for this. Congratulations.
Thank you for having me.
I'm sorry your summer vacation is over, but we look forward to see you on the football field pretty soon, okay?
Oh, all right. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
Thanks, Taye. Taye Reich joining us.
Yes,
Moorhead standout both in football and baseball. He and Kason Borkart from West Fargo-Horace selected to the Team USA U16 team. Will be playing down in Cary, North Carolina, not too far from Shelby, where the American Legion World Series is. as well. North Carolina, apparently the baseball haven. But congratulations to him. And you mentioned Iowa State, now with Jake Landry, who's the running backs coach for the Cyclones. Obviously, Farmer Bison, OC, was heavily part of that recruitment. Going to be fascinating to see how that plays out. Spuds have a ton of talent, and it's not just restricted to Taye. We mentioned the other guys that have all been offered as well. We are due for a break. We come back. We'll wrap things up, get you ready for a moderately busy Sports Monday. We'll do that when Hot Mike comes back after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com. All right, wrapping things up here on this Monday morning. Our thanks to Taye Reich for joining us. Tomorrow on the show, Mike McFeely will join us, do our usual cast of characters there. Got a couple other fun stuff we got planned for tomorrow's program. Looking forward to that. A couple other things mentioned, and we'll get to this and what to watch as well. SEC Media Days going on. We'll get a couple snippets from Greg Sankey's address that I think are relevant to what we're talking about here. We'll get to that on the show tomorrow as well. For those following an NBA Summer League, Jackson Money got to play on Friday night. I believe scored 8 points in San Antonio's game there. Grant Nelson played yesterday, scored 4 for Brooklyn in their game. Again, trying to follow this. It's totally coach's discretion if they get to play or not. It's totally on a whim, basically. I know Cooper Flagg, I believe, scored 31 in his game Saturday, and then we're done. He got to play twice, and then we're shutting him down for the rest of Summer League. The Wolves have played a couple games. They've won both of them, so they've looked okay so far. Terrence Shannon Jr. Has been great. He's like he's aged out of Summer League. You got to go do it now in the regular season. Better game for Rob Dillingham in his second time out. The Wolves will play again tomorrow against Detroit. The Nets play tomorrow as well against the Knicks. That's the next time we'll get to see potentially Grant Nelson play. So we'll keep our eyes peeled on that coming up over the next couple days as well. The USA Wrestling Nationals are going on. Started on Saturday, goes to this coming Saturday. It's always filled with some unbelievable performances, and eventually you're going to see wrestlers here, either boys or girls, because now they have a section. They've done this now for the better part of almost a decade, I want to say, on the women's wrestling division, that eventually will either come back here to wrestle in Division I wrestling. One way or the other, it ties back. When you look at some guys' bios, and you do this when we're calling wrestling matches, like, oh, this guy won a national championship or was a runner-up in Fargo. One way or the other, all roads come here. So just something to keep your eyes on as well on some dynamite performances that normally come through here. We'll look forward to that over this week, and the local ones, we will certainly keep you up to date on that. All right, poll question going back to the top of the show as we get ready for what to watch. Obviously, part of that will be the Home Run Derby tonight with a Minnesota Twin in it for the first time since 2017 when Miguel Sano was in it. And our question was pretty simple. Will you watch tonight's Home Run Derby? Yes, because Buxton is in it, or no, because it takes too long. 61% of the votes say, yep, they're going to watch it because Byron Buxton is in it. 38.5% say nope, because it takes too long. I'm kind of in the middle in that. I'm going to be out for the first part of it. And now that there's no Met in it, because Pete Alonso's been in it the last 5 or 6 years and won it a couple of times, my interest in it is waning. I will, again, just don't have it go 3.5 hours. It's probably better for everybody. We'll see what happens there. All right, let's do some what to watch before we get out of here. All righty. I mentioned Home Run Derby. Final time maybe on ESPN, 7 o'clock tonight. That's coming up there. Lynx in the Sky. We'll see what happens there. They lost to Chicago on Saturday. They dumped Allison Peely, who was their number 8 overall pick last year to the Lynx. That's coming up tonight, 7 o'clock, FanDuel Sports North. SEC Media Day says now! Exclamation point. I don't know if I put an exclamation point in there, but it is important. That's coming up. You can watch it now on ESPN Plus. All day long coverage there from Atlanta. Our thanks to Taye Reich for joining us, to Jeff Kolpack and Sam Herder. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Hope everybody has a great Monday. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.